basic components of a job description. And this is kind of what I do. I come in and look at your job descriptions and look at titles, reporting relationships, what's the current classification? In other words, are they exempt, not exempt? Okay. Are they part-time? Are they full-time? Are they intern? Intern is another subject, but okay, those with interns need it. Anyway, you must have a date on this job description because it flags you as far as when's the last time you looked at this thing. Because things could have changed. All right. And what's the scope of the job? The scope is a very generalized statement why the job exists. Okay? It indicates the breadth that will capture in a narrative form why the job exists. Does it have budgetary responsibilities, which is discretionary decisions because they have budgets to deal with? Are they supervising people? It's a 3 to 4 line brief description of why the job exists. Then you have knowledge, skills, and abilities. You want to establish what does an individual have to be able to be 50% successful in this job. You notice I didn't say 100%. Okay. 50% successful, because you can bring someone in and they learn as they come through. But let's face it, if you're going to be in the accounting department, you probably need to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Okay? Use a calculator or a computer. All right? So these are some very basic things, and you capture that in the job description. This also helps defend you in some discriminatory practices and different things. So the job description is a lot more than just for pay purposes. So listen up, okay? Then you've got tasks and expectations. This is where you're listing primary things they have to do. Generally, in a daily, these are duties. These are things they do. Where the scope describes why the job exists, these are tasks that they're doing what you're listing, all right? And you want to capture the top ones. You know, you don't want to take it down to empties out the trash every afternoon, okay? You know, right? Then you've got environmental physical demands. This gets into the Americans with Disabilities, okay? But you need to capture in your job description the environment they're working in. Is it hot? Is it not air conditioned? Is it they're required to travel? They're required to go up steps? Because these things can cover you why you don't hire somebody sometimes because the environment does not meet what their physical limitations are. Okay? That has to be in the job description. Then you got working hours. Are they going to be shift workers? Are they going to be on call? Are they going to be, basically you're capturing what is expected of the individual's attendance, okay, or availability. And you have them sign it and date it. You sign it and date it. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, one of the things when I go in and audit a company, which is one of the things I do, so looky here. Anyway, employees say, well, that's not what I do. But this is your job description. Well, yeah, that's fine, but that's not what I do. You sure don't want the Department of Labor investigator to be told, well, that's not what I do. Okay? Titles don't mean anything. Now, I hate to burst your balloon, but they really don't mean anything. It's what you do in the job. So,
and can I just add one thing? So if this person manages 2 people, then you put in they manage however many people they manage, because remember that's one of the criteria for an exemption. If they're exercising discretion and independent judgment in matters of significance to the operations of the business, you want to talk in that job description about how they're exercising discretion.
That would be in the scope.
Yeah, but just make sure that the scope includes discretion, independent judgment, and matters of significance.
If you keep up, and that's why, once again, we get to dating and everything, that we make sure that we know when this was done. You can go back and say, well, you know, we've had some changes in our business. Y'all had Mary in, and she's already redone your organization, and you need to do all of this. She's gonna say, we gotta make sure we got job descriptions, okay, for changing stuff, okay? Any questions on this? All right.
Do you have a template?
You're gonna be sitting up, you need to fill in?
Yeah.
We can get you a template.
Yeah, I work at the, okay. All right. Okay, additional to-dos, review all employee handbooks to update references to salaried, non-exempt, anybody know what that means? You pay them a salary, but they're non-exempt, they get overtime? That may be a definition from the past, which means you need to be looking at your handbook. And hourly definitions. Most handbooks define the employees by, okay, they're hourly, they work full-time is less than 30 hours, more than 30 hours a week or whatever, but your handbooks need to be reviewed. Ensure the company's policy regarding pre-approval for all overtime exists. And that failure to follow this process could lead to guidance or disciplinary actions. People who ride the clock is what I'm talking about. Anybody know what I'm talking about there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Have you heard of that, riding the clock?
Yeah, explain that to everybody.
That means that they kind of dilly-dally around to make sure they get an extra 2 or 3 hours in a 40-hour week. And you wind up, you have to pay it. Okay? If that extra hours in the week are not pre-approved per your handbook, or, you know, then you need to give them guidance. You gotta pay them, but you gotta give them guidance that continuing to ride the clock like this could result in disciplinary action. That they have to have pre-approval. Yeah.
So you establish some guidelines for that, but I don't pre-approve, you know, when people work more than 40 hours a week, and that's up to them. And then you get paid for it, obviously.
Obviously, it doesn't matter to you.
Well, and I think it's because the nature of the business and the work that they're doing, it's understood.
Yeah.
But
there's no requirement for.
right, it's not a legal requirement, it's for the employer to be able to get their arms around the cheaters.
And this is not your honest people, these are people that are using the system and cheating.
They left in 2008.
Okay, all right, so you had disciplinary action.
No,
Or guidance.
2008 was the year we went through 16 people,
Okay.
so we got rid of a lot of problems.
You have a history, don't you, Barry? Anyway, review with payroll, all overtime submitted to ensure policies are being followed. My good friend Rita Seals here, who is a payroll guru, can give you horror stories on how managers and supervisors okay things, and then payroll gets a hold of it and go, oh my gosh, what do we have here? And they're having to sift through it. And then provide training on policies and procedures with all supervisors, managers, and payroll personnel. Anybody's got the authority to approve overtime needs to understand what your policy is. Okay? They are authorizing monies to be expended on behalf of the organization. Okay? And you need to be able to control that. Yes, sir?
One thing I just thought about, it's not in accordance with this, but I pay 100% employees' health insurance.
God, you're rare.
Yeah. But, you know, can that be included in the compensation calculation?
I don't know if he wants to go there.
Well, that's a good question, because I'm in the same scenario.
Do what?
That's a good question.
The same way?
Because I'm in the same.
It's not included.
No.
Okay.
But when you talk to your employees about their compensation package, I make sure, darn sure they understand that's part of their whole package, but it doesn't count as part of this.
seating an HSA, if I'm doing that too,
You help with their HSA too?
yeah.
Can I apply?
But, so, that goes into their HSA, is that considered time? Okay.
Okay. Real quick, let's see, what else? Did I have anything else?
Yeah, one more last thing. About the ignorance of the law.
Remember, ignorance of the law is not a defense. So you people made your first step of being compliant and taking care of business by being here today.